Hello, everyone. My name is Keith Jackson, and welcome to Jack's Math Notebook. Right now, you're looking at the third video in a series of videos that will help us better understand the concept of domain and range. Right now, you're looking at four big examples, but what we're going to do, we're going to compare big example one with that of big example two, big example three with big example four. And let's go to big example one, and so we can go right into understanding this concept. And so right here, we have a graph. This relation is a function, by the way, because it passes the vertical line test, meaning that if we place a pencil vertically right here, it would only hit the pencil at one point. The more we go horizontally right along this graph. Okay, and another interesting thing about this graph is that it has an open circle right here. And this open circle is interesting simply because it's going to define what this graph is. And so let's take a look at the domain value first. The domain has a lot to do with X, if you remember from the previous two videos. And so we notice that right here that it starts at 2, positive 2, and then it has an arrow. The arrow indicates positive infinity in this case, given that it's going towards the right in a positive infinite direction. And this is why this domain value right here has a set of parentheses, one on the left side and one on the right side. Reason why it has a set of parentheses right here for 2 is because this open circle indicates that 2 is not included. And on the other hand, we notice that its other domain value is infinity because so you have to chase infinity, right? And so if you're chasing infinity, you're going to have to close it off with this parenthesis right here as well. The same is true for range because the range starts at 4, but it goes up into infinity, positive into a positive direction. See, up indicates positive. This is why we have this positive infinity sign uh, closed off by this parenthesis here, which means that it's not really closed off because you're chasing infinity. And so you have to use a set of parentheses right here to indicate this infinity right here. And the same is true for an open circle. You use a parenthesis right here for that open circle. And your algebra teacher may also want you to write it like this. So you have x in the middle, right? So we know that x is less than infinity because we're chasing infinity, and is greater than 2, meaning that 2 is not included. All right, the range value kind of has a similar way to it, in which we have y is less than infinity, but it's greater than 4. Okay, and so this is how it looks right here for big example one. And let's take a look at big example two, where the graph looks pretty much the same, right? But the difference is that there's an open circle here and there's a shaded circle here. The shaded circle indicates inclusion. And so and this is why we have this bracket right here on the two side of the domain. But we still have the parenthesis right over here on the infinity side of this domain, meaning that we're chasing infinity because we're chasing infinity. The only thing we can put is a parenthesis right here on the right side. And we can follow that same logic when we're doing the range because the range still is at 4. It starts at 4 and it moves up to positive infinities, but we have that bracket at 4 because we have that closed dot and it goes up to positive infinity, which means that we have to use a parenthesis right here on the right side. And your algebra teacher may like for you to write it like this as well, in which x is less than infinity, while at the same time greater than or equal to 2. And the range right here, which we have y is less than infinity, while at the same time less than or equal to 4. And so again, this relation is a function because it passes the vertical line test. Now let's compare big example 3 to that of big example 4, in which we have this nice little squiggly right here, but we have an open circle over the -4 as it relates to the domain. Remember, domain deals with the x values, right? The x-axis. And so it starts at -4, then it ends at +9. And so with that in mind, because we have an open circle at 4, we have to put a parenthesis here, right here on the left side, next to the -4, while we put a bracket here on 9, because see, we have a closed circle, a shaded circle right here at 9. And if we look at it that way, let's take a look at range, in which the bottom one is at -3, and then it stops at +3. And so our range will again have that parenthesis right here at -3 because it's associated with that open circle. And then it stops at +3 because it's associated with this shaded circle. And this is why we have this bracket right here. And your algebra teacher may like for you to write it like this: for your domain value, in which x is less than or equal to 9, but greater than -4, while the range value we have right here, where y is less than or equal to 3, but greater than -3. And then we can go on to big example 4, and we can really deepen our understanding of it, because see, right now we have two brackets instead of parentheses, right? And here's why: because we have a shaded circle here at -4, and we have a shaded circle here at +9 for our range value. Oh, I'm sorry, for our domain value. Let me repeat that again. We have a shaded circle here for at -4 for our domain value, and we have another shaded circle at 9 for our domain value. I want to make sure I'm keeping it clear. Domain is the x values, while r is the y values. And so as you can see right here, we have a set of brackets for the -4 as well as the 9, because it shows that -4 is included and 9 is included. And so your algebra teacher might want you to write it like this, in which you have x is less than or equal to 9, while at the same time greater than or equal to a -4 for the domain. The range again is very similar to right here, but this time we have y is less than or equal to 3, while at the same time greater than or equal to a -3. These two relations, by the way, are functions because they pass the vertical line test. All right, you have been given a lot of information. I wouldn't blame you if you need to pause the video to give it a once over, or replay this video as many times you need to gain a deeper understanding of domain and range. But in the meantime, please comment, share, like, and subscribe to Jack's Math Notebook for more content. Thank you and goodbye.